Wow, just look at that view. But I'm not here just for the view. I'm here to visit the equally enjoyable Coriole Vineyards. As a medium-sized winery in South Australia's McLaren Vale wine region, Coriole has made quite a splash. But if I could just keep my mind on the job instead of this gorgeous setting, we'd be able to go and explore just what makes Coriole so special. So I'm here with Mark Lloyd. He's one of the family owners of Coriole. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
This is an absolutely stunning place to work. It must be very helpful in the inspiration for creating wine.
Well, it is. Yes, it is. Mind you, I live here, so I think I take it for granted a bit. But if you look around McLaren Vale, there's just loads of beautiful spots.
Above the ground is amazing. What about below the ground?
Now that's very perceptive that you should say that, because in fact probably as winemakers we're more interested in underneath the ground than we are on top of the ground, because that's going to determine the soil. And below the ground, or perhaps something like 80% below the ground, is terra rossa soils, so that red-brown earth over limestone, and that's a sort of great combination.
So the beginnings of Coriole here. Tell me about the history. How did
Way
that start?
back, this old mulberry trees and carob trees and buildings were built in 1860.
Yeah.
And the first vineyard was planted in about 1920. And then in late perhaps in the 60s, early 60s, a Swiss man took it over, and he was an organic farmer, a fascinating individual who I knew as a teenager when the vineyard was originally purchased by my parents. And so he made organic wine, which in those days was very unusual. But in the end, of course, we're coming full circle, because this is something that we're moving into now. So
organic
things go
product.
round. Yeah. So we've already started a sort of conversion to biodynamic this year. So it'll take a few years.
One of the beauties of Coriole is that although it carries an impressive reputation for innovation, it does so whilst embracing very traditional techniques. So I'm here with Simon. He's the senior winemaker at Coriole. Hi, Simon. Coriole is well known for its experimentation. What drives you forward in that area?
I guess just the desire to be innovative in what we do, and I guess to just find the Coriole groove. I mean, I guess one of the things that's great about Coriole is not only do we make wine for drinking, but it's really part of the whole process of life. It's about enjoying wine with food. We also have some food products that we do, olives and olive oil and things, and so we're really looking at making something that's more about our life and more about showing our lives than just sitting there and saying, well, here's another wine.
So you guys here at Coriole have done a lot with Italian varieties. Can you tell me a bit about that?
I guess it started back in the early 80s when we had a group of wine merchants from the UK come to Australia, and at that stage Coriole was playing with a variety called Touriga, which is a Portuguese variety, without very much success, and they were discussing, Paul and Mark and the Coriole family were talking about what might work here in McLaren Vale, and someone said Sangiovese amongst this group of wine merchants. Mark obviously then took it upon himself to do a bit of a study trip and learn what he could about it, and suddenly we were the first people in Australia to start playing with Sangiovese back in 1985. So here we are 20 odd vintages later, and the thing about things like the Italian grape varieties is that they suit the Coriole philosophy well. It's a philosophy about more than just a grape variety. It's about a texture, a flavour, a richness, about trying to really show the part of McLaren Vale that we live in, show the flavours we can get, but not trying to be an Italian or a European wine, be an interpretation of that.
Yep.
And that's now developed on to having Barbera, we have Nebbiolo, we're mucking around with some really strange things like Sagrantino, which is supposed to be the world's most tannic grape variety. And then in the last couple of years we've started making Fiano, which is a white grape variety from southern Italy. But again, they're wines that aren't just the usual traditional Australian things. They're quite interesting, they have more character, more flavour and more texture than I guess what we've traditionally done in Australia.
So Mark, your developing product lines seem to have a distinct interest in the good life. Can you tell me about your cheeses and vinegars and olive oil?
I mean, a lot of them interest developed when travelling years ago in Greece, working in olive oil factories, became fascinated with olives and olive oil. I remember visiting loads of cheese factories in England and being besotted by that when I worked in England in the 70s. So as opportunities that came, we started to do the same things, and we've got our Kalamata olives here, and the cheeses as well. This is owned by Coriole, but it's a separate business that my sister-in-law runs. It's up in Woodside. It's called the Woodside Cheese Rights. So, and we've gone on to make other products as well.
Beautiful. Well, I can't wait to have a try of all these beautiful things.
Well, you need very fresh oil. See, this is the latest season. It's only made just a few months ago, and that's
beautiful.
the best. So you can just pour it over the bread before you start.
Wow, perfect. Amazing. And we've got a beautiful glass of the Sangiovese.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers. With a flair for innovation and a strong eye on history and tradition, Coriole has a unique personality that has taken it a long way in the competitive Australian wine industry. And I, for one, am looking forward to their future along with them. I think I was supposed to do some more work today, but really, I don't know how these guys keep up the good work, but I'm glad they do.